What's going on, guys? So I saw a video from my buddy Matt, Channel Georgia Gent, who is now making content again. Great to have Matt back. And kind of got me inspired. 10 clone fragrances that are worth buying in 2023. Not the exact title of his video, but I think that's going to be the title of my video, but the same video basically. Because I've been getting a lot of really good clones as of late. Some are just greats that I've had for a while. One that I just smelled yesterday that kind of blew me away. And a few personal favorites that I've recently added to my collection from some Middle Eastern houses. So if affordability and performance and smelling great matter to you, you're going to want to stay tuned. Starting with one of the biggest hype beasts from last year as far as clones are concerned, this is Lattafa Khamrah. So, no secret what they were going for here. Killian's Angel Share. But it is a little bit different. It's a little more on the sweet side, a little less on the booze. Because there is no actual boozy note. It's really just benzoin that kind of gives off that feel. But man, this stuff is so attractive. Out in the air, beautiful. Monstrous performer too. Almost unnecessary in some ways. Very unisex. If you like sweet fragrances, this will work for anybody that enjoys sweet fragrances. There's some spices here. There's a little touch of powder. Like I said, it's got that boozy, ambery feel from this benzoin. It is a magnificent clone that you can get in the sub $40 range and the 30 some odd dollar price point from most places online. I'll have links to everything down below to make this nice and easy for you guys. This is absolutely the right fragrance to start this video topic because this is one you should consider in 2023, especially if you like sweet. Lattafa Khamrah. Next is one that I haven't been spending a lot of time with because I've had very cold days, hence why I've been wearing hoodies in most of the recent uploads. There's snow outside, for God's sakes, but if you're looking for a great cheap alternative to Mancera's Cedrat, you need to check out from Paris Corner. This is the Emir line. This is Sidra Essence. You can get this for around $30. I got this for $30 from perfumeonline.ca. Now, you can find Cedrat in the $65 to $80 range for most discounters online, but if you don't want to spend that, you want to spend less than half and get pretty damn close in performance and scent profile, you might want to check this out. Is it on par with Cedrat? Close, not quite, but for $30, it's pretty hard to complain. It's a little bit more on the zesty citrus. It's not as sweet of a citrus, and it's a little bit more on the musk versus Cedrat. That's the two main differences I find in it. Performance is kind of what I get about 8 hours out of this on my skin. Now, it's not absurdly loud for the entire 8 hours. In the first hour and a half or so, it is pretty loud. It's attention grabbing. This stuff gets out in the air. It's very bright and airy and pushes off the skin pretty well. The scent bubble that it has after the fact is more in that moderate to mild side where people will get light whiffs of it, but it's not an absolute monster in performance. It is above average in performance across the board, but for $30, I continue to be impressed with fragrances like this. I didn't think I would find a clone of Cedrat that I would be like, I'll just, most of the time I would just say, save a little bit more and get Cedrat, but if you don't really want to spend the money, this is literally less than half the cheapest you'll find Cedrat at discounters. And it's just about as good. I would say it's in that 90% range, 85-90%. Definitely worth taking a look at this year in 2023. Paris Corner Emir Sidra Essence. Next is still my favorite in this line. I do have the Pure Parfum at this point. The only one I don't have is the EDP, and I can't see myself getting swayed from this one. My favorite Club de Nuit Intense Man version is definitely the limited edition Parfum. I prefer this to so many other fragrances. Now look, it's not the most quality scent profile. It does have a cheaper smell, as most Armaf fragrances do, but out in the air, I mean, this stuff is gorgeous. So good. Beautiful zesty citrus, fruity black currant, nice and dark and smoky and rich. This is a smoother take on the original Club de Nuit Intense Man. You still get that, it's more of a candied lemon instead of that harsh, cleaner smell lemon. It's not near as bad. It's much richer and smoother overall. This is my favorite Club de Nuit Intense fragrance. I do really like the Pure Parfum. Don't get me wrong. I do like that one a lot, but for me, this is better than the EDT. Even if you have the EDT, you might want to consider getting this. Now, again, I haven't tried the Eau de Parfum, so I'm not sure. It might be pretty close to this one. Again, not sure. I can only go off of my experiences and of the three that I have, this is hands down my clear-cut favorite, and one that I suggest you getting. This was my favorite fragrance that I wore the most this past fall. We're currently in winter, but during the fall, this was my #1 reach. I love this stuff. Daytime, nighttime, going to dinner, it didn't matter. My wife really enjoys this one. This is great stuff. If you haven't checked it out yet, maybe this is the year. That's Armaf, Club de Nuit Intense Man, limited edition Parfum. This fragrance very much impressed me. You can get it well below $30, some places around that $20 mark. This is from Maison Alhambra. This is Tabac. Now, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, so one of these two I believe is correct. Dior Tabacolor and Dior Tabacolor. Not sure which one's correct. I've heard it said both ways. This is a clone of that. Now, again, not going to be on the level of Dior's private line, but it smells really damn good. If you're looking for a cheap honey tobacco that doesn't smell super cheap, this is the one. I recently did a full review on this one. This is beautiful. There's a sweet fruitiness to this, but it's mostly this honey-coated tobacco smell. Now, admittedly, it's so thick and fruity sweet at the top, but as it settles, the tobacco dries out a little bit. You don't lose the sweetness, but it does dry out just a little bit. I believe it's the tobacco doing that. Warm and ambery feel. Nothing crazy complex about this one. Pretty straightforward with the scent profile. Doesn't change much from the top to the very end of the fragrance's lifespan. Performance is absolutely fantastic. This is a very strong fragrance. Punches well above the price point for what you're going to spend. I know Maison Alhambra is owned by Lattafa, from what I understand, so that doesn't surprise me that I like a lot of the fragrance offerings that I've tried from them, because that seems to be the case for me with Lattafa. I seem to enjoy pretty much everything I've tried from them. So if you're looking for a great cheap Middle Eastern house to get some fantastic clones from, in 2023, focus on stuff like this. Maison Alhambra, Tabac. A lot of people are going to ask, why didn't you use Lattafa Assad here? So Assad, while a great take on Sauvage Elixir, it's less of a clone and more inspired by, because honestly, the best clone, carbon copy closest to the original when it comes to Sauvage Elixir for me is Alexandria's Et Sauvage Elixir. It doesn't get closer than this for me. Performance is ridiculous. It's nuclear. It's absurd. It's long-lasting. It's super loud. The sillage is monstrous, and the accuracy is unparalleled as far as how it performs top to bottom versus the original and how it smells top to bottom versus the original. This one gets my vote of confidence for the closest clone. Now, I do like how Assad smells a little bit better, because I know people are going to ask. That's why I have to address it. It's going to be the elephant in the room for this. Beautiful. For this particular section of the video, that was going to be the elephant in the room, and I don't want to keep it answering over and over the same question in the comments, so I figured we'd just address it. If you're looking for accuracy, this is the one. You're going to pay more than Lattafa Assad. Lattafa Assad will get you by. It's fruity fresh. It's got a coffee note. There's differences I pick up in it. It's gorgeous in the sub $30 price point. I think it's like 24, 25 bucks. It's an awesome fragrance. But if you want basically Sauvage Elixir in an Alexandria Fragrances bottle, it's that close for me. You want to check this one out. This is definitely the clone to check out when you're looking for accuracy and just, like I said, ridiculous performance. Check out Alexandria Fragrances version of Sauvage Elixir at Sauvage Elixir. Now, some of you may have never thought to try to seek out a clone of Prada L'Homme, but I can tell you the accuracy is spot on, and it's better than getting the original. The original Prada L'Homme is an eau de toilette, so you will lose some of the brightness because you're stepping up to an extrait. This is from Makin Scents. This is called Iris Man. I actually did a full review on this one a while back. This is spot on. Quality, scent profile, opening, heart dry down. To Prada L'Homme. Like I said, the difference is you lose the brightness and the airiness of Prada L'Homme because that's an eau de toilette concentration. This is an extrait de parfum. I want to say in the realm of 30%. I don't know exactly what percentage Mike used on this, but man, it is good. Beautiful, soapy, floral, powdery, spicy, a little ambery. I mean, spot on. A lot of you know Prada L'Homme is one of those happy fragrances for me. It is the first Iris fragrance that I ever really gave a chance that made me fall in love with even designer Iris notes, which is a little bit different from what natural Florentine Iris smells like when it comes to niche perfumery, but I like pretty much all of them. I like them soapy, waxy, lipsticky, powdery, earthy, creamy, you name it. I love Iris, and Mike Freaking nailed this one. Like I said, I wouldn't, if I had to do it all over again and this already existed, I would have just went for this, because I really do believe this is better than the original, because it just lasts forever. It's not as loud at the top, but it's got a consistent scent bubble and sillage that will linger in the air because it's a high oil concentration. Like I said, because it's such a high oil concentration, it lasts and lasts. You should really check this one out. If you like Pradalome, this is the long-lasting version, basically. It's called Making Sense, Iris Man. Next is from possibly my favorite Middle Eastern house at this point, AFNAN. I really haven't smelled anything that I wasn't immensely impressed by from them. This fragrance is kind of the poster child for that thought process, because I was impressed by this so much that it stopped me from getting 50 mLs of Ombre Leather and Ombre Leather Parfum when I ran out of my decants. We're talking about Rare Carbon from AFNAN. Guys, if you've been watching lately, you've probably seen my full review, or you've seen me talk about this in weekly rotations or maybe in a list topic such as this one. I'm so impressed by this one. It falls in between where you get a lot of that metallic aquatic tone of the violet leaf. You get the florals. You get all the stuff that's great about the Parfum with all the stuff that's great about the original in the signature line of Ombre Leather, where it's a hefty dose of some moderately sweet and ambery leather. This gets a lot more leather than the Parfum does, but still gets the differences that the Parfum has. Hope that train of thought works for you. Hope you follow. Man, this is good. Like, I know there's a bunch of people that have their favorites when it comes to Ombre Leather clones. This is my favorite. I haven't tried a bunch of them, but this one's so good that I'm good. I'm not interested in checking any others out, because when I want Ombre Leather, I'm rolling with Rare Carbon. It is that damn good. 30 some odd dollars for this bottle. I believe it's 100 ml. Yes, 100 ml. And it's fantastic. The quality's there. The performance is there. And my God, does this stuff smell good. And that's AFNAN, Rare Carbon. This one very much surprised me. At the recording of this, the video came out this morning. This is the first time I've ever smelled anything of the Creed Aventus for Her scent profile. This is from Dossier Perfumes. This is Fruity Oak Moss. This is their version of Creed Aventus for women, Creed Aventus for Her. And I don't find it all that feminine. Like, it has lang-a-lang, peach, and rose in the heart. Sounds like a very feminine heart. I don't really get much lang-a-lang. I get some rose. The peach just kind of blends with the other fruits, but a lot of oak moss here. This stuff's really good. Really good. I mean, smells fantastic on my skin. I was very much surprised when I did my Dossier Perfumes video. This stuff's so good. Musk, patchouli, oak moss, and of course all this fruitiness, because there's green apple, bergamot, lemon, and peach. And I don't necessarily get one standing above the rest where it's like, ooh, that is peach, that is bergamot, that is green. Outside of maybe the green apple, I do get a little bit of that crispness that you get from like when you bite into a green apple. Picture that sensation. It's kind of what I get from the fruity freshness that's at the top of this one. I am super impressed. This is only the second day that I've smelled this one, and it had to be featured in this video. Could I have put something else? Yeah, there's a bunch of really, really good clones that I think you should consider this year, but this one stood taller than a lot of other ones, believe it or not. This is marketed for women, but guys, I'm telling you, you can rock this. It is not super feminine. It's not heavy on the yellow florals. It's not overdone with rose. It's more about citruses, fruits, oak moss, musk, and patchouli. It might just be my skin. Who knows? But it's worth checking out. Surprisingly, one I think you should maybe consider trying. From Dossier Perfumes, Fruity Oak Moss, their version of Creed Aventus for Her. So we're going back to the well. One more from AFNAN. This one deserves to be in this video. It really does. It's my favorite rendition of Oud for Greatness, even though it's not spot on to Oud for Greatness. We're talking about Supremacy and Oud. This is just so good. It's basically, because this leans more Baccarat Rouge 540 than even Oud for Greatness does. It's kind of like Baccarat Rouge 540 with Oud in many ways. It's a hefty dose of saffron in this one. I love it. That is so good. And I have several clones or inspired by fragrances of Oud for Greatness. I've had a decant of Oud for Greatness, and this takes the cake. I'll take this over Oud for Greatness. I'm telling you, I continue to be impressed. AFNAN's the one Middle Eastern clone house I'll get something of a fragrance I'm interested in the original of, or maybe had decants of. Both fragrances in this video, for example, where I'm like, I get the clone and I'm like, yeah, this is good enough. I'm cool. I don't need the original. That's the case here. That was the case with Rare Carbon as well. This made me not want to get Ombre Leather anymore, which is rare. I'm an advocate for enjoying the original experience. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say go with the original, but there's certain instances. There's always that 10th time. This is one of those 10th times where I love this stuff. Don't get me wrong, they have Oud for Glory. I've heard fantastic things about it because I have the Amethyst Flanker, which is a clone for Atomic Rose, and it's amazing. It's a rich, thick, robust rose. It's beautiful. But I got to tell you, this stuff is magnificent. It's ridiculously strong, too. You don't need a lot of sprays, and it's great for this time of year in the cold. You might want to check this one out this year. It's AFNAN Supremacy Ood. Last but not least, this is the cream of the crop. I've featured this in so many clone lists at this point. This is basically, when you think of me and clones, you probably think of this fragrance. Just like when you think of me and blue fragrances, you think of Ferragamo Aqua Cinziali Blue. Regulars on the channel, you know what I'm talking about here. This is from SCENTual Obsessions. This is their version of Bond No. 9's Andy Warhol. I have more than one bottle. This is one of the newer renditions. There's a 2.0 version now that I haven't tried, but this is so good. Plum, oud, amber, spices. Amazing. One of the best smelling fragrances I have ever put on my skin. Sniffed through my nose. It is magnificent. I've done a full review. I have featured this in my old bottle. I have a bottle that's like 3 or 4 years old at this point that I've featured over the years because this is so good. This is quintessential cold weather clone that I think everyone should try. It's my #1 recommendation from if you're going to try something from SCENTual Obsessions. Let's say you're going to build a sample pack. This needs to be in there. Nobody, I repeat, nobody does Andy Warhol from Bond No. 9 when it comes to cloning or inspiring and making their own version better than Kevin Holt with SCENTual Obsessions. I stand by that. I've stood by that for years now, 4 years pretty much at this point, because it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome, and I usually save it for last because it's the quintessential clone fragrance, most relatable to me on this channel for good reason, because it's that damn good, guys. You should really try this one. I'm telling you, if you haven't yet, you should. SCENTual Obsessions version of Bond No. 9, Andy Warhol. Well, that's the 10 that I have for you today. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. What's some of your favorite clones? What's some that you've been having on your mind? They're on your want list, wish list, to-do list, to-buy list, however you want to look at it. And since it's a new year, new you, right? That's the saying. What's some clones that you just need to get this year? Or any of these, or some of the ones that are on your radar. I'd love to read about it below in the comments. Until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of these 10, you give them a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me later. You get the vote of confidence from me for sure. Have a good one, guys.